friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you my favorites of my plant collection for the month of March, things that are going really well. I've got some plants and some planty things that are just making me happy and feeling like my collection is doing well. So before I get into that, I want to say, if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanting content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanting journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Let's get into it. Y'all can see the first one in this video. It is so exciting. Let me pull her out. So, she's a little bit wibbly wobbly, but my Anthurium Regale is putting out a new leaf and it looks perfect. Like so amazing. So right now it is about the same size as my hand. It started out like that as normal, and oh, I just can't wait to watch it get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's so exciting. Like every single day I can see that it's growing, and I'm actually going away very soon, and I think it's gonna finish hardening off while I'm away, and I'm kind of excited to see the difference between like before I go and come back, because that's just always really exciting to like see the like drastic change. While I love watching it grow every single day, and you really can with this one see it growing every single day, sometimes with houseplants you don't notice how much they're growing because it's more of a constant thing and you're seeing them constantly. Whereas when you have a break from them for a little while, you can really see the jump in growth or the change in the plant, and that is really exciting. So very glad about this. I do think I want to like pull these together a little bit because they are a little bit sprawly. It's like that's its previous leaf. I would love if it would grow the same size or bigger as its previous leaf. That would be freaking awesome. I definitely think it can. I fully believe in it. But very excited about this, and I know this one is doing well and is very happy, and I'm just excited to get this to be a big bushy plant. I don't know if it'll ever be bushy per se, but yeah. We can hope. We can fingers crossed hope that that will happen one day. So very excited about this. So cool. Yeah, just oh, so good. There we go. And you can see it's kind of right in front of the mother grow light. This grow light goes on I think an hour before sunset, and it is quite close, so I think right there it's getting about medium to bright indirect light there. It's not the brightest space in my home. It is quite pulled back from the southwest facing window, so you're not getting loads and loads of light throughout the day, but I think it's getting enough to suffice, which is exciting. So yeah, very good. Yay. Let's carry on. So I actually have two things in this section that I want to talk about. Number one is my Peperomia Sarcophylla. Look at this leaf. Look at it. It is doing so well. It's kind of flattened out a little bit. It is still somewhat curved, but it is getting better and bigger, which is exactly what I want from it. Like, I feel like I'm doing something right with this one now, and I think the only major thing that I have changed is putting it on my like TV stand here, where it's getting a decent amount of light and I can actually pay attention to it a bit better than when it was in the office. Before, I could not pay attention to that one because it was kind of behind Joe's desk, and so I couldn't just go in there whenever I wanted. I had to make sure that it was when Joe was out or not in a meeting or anything, so it wasn't necessarily getting the care that it desperately wanted and needed. But now that it's here, also the light, it was not a very bright spot over there, but here it's getting medium in direct light most of the time, which I think is fine for peperomias. I've found that they don't like things to be too bright because I don't know, I found that they like it to be medium, not too bright, in my home at least. And I am just so pleased that this one is working. Also, obviously ignore the water spots. It is taken its second sulfur treatment. I think the last one for the plants that I don't think are having issues. I think most of the plants in my collection will be absolutely fine with just the 2 rounds of the sulfur treatment. And I can probably wash it off very soon, which is super exciting. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be so glad when my plants in my collection will not have these spots on anymore, because like, I know it's doing good things, but I'm not enjoying looking at it. So really excited to see how well this one comes in, and if it can grow as big as that leaf there, that would be great. The other exciting thing in this zone, this is where I have moved my Sansevieria propagations. These have propagated so freaking well. I think I talked about it in a previous favorites video because I was surprised at how fast these rooted. I think it was like 6 days for the first one to start rooting, which is incredible. So I'm gonna take this one out, given it is also rooting. There's a tiny little root in there. Exciting. That's the Bantel Sensation. That's not the one that's like the most exciting in this. It is these Sansevieria Metallicas that I have in here, which are incredibly rooted, like crazy rooted. But also, you can see it started to sprout new growth, and I think not quite on this one yet. This one did take a little bit longer to start growing roots than this one, but I cannot wait until this growth comes out and I can see how it grows like, because I know that some Sansevierias, they, like if you propagate them from leaves, they don't grow in the same way as if you like got a whole chunk with roots. So I don't know if these ones will grow like the Sansevieria Metallica, or if they'll just come in like normal, like average snake plants. But I don't mind. I'm just thrilled that this whole propagation process has worked with these and I've been able to get roots, because I've tried this before and like literally nothing, got nothing out of them, whereas these I've actually gotten something. And I think part of it is because I let them callus over so heavily. So if you are trying to propagate Sansevierias from blade cuttings, leaf cuttings, you do really need to let them callus over. I let these callus over for weeks, if not months, before putting them in the water, and they're doing absolutely fine. But I think previously when I've tried, I have, oh yeah, I think I kind of took the cuttings and then immediately put them in water. That did not work. So we are here now in these. I do need to change the water because it's a bit murky, but oh, it's just doing so well, and I'm so proud of them, and so looking forward to seeing how they grow. The next one of my favorites is actually in my Millsbow cabinet. Let me just try and get it out really quick because it is a bit awkward in here. So this is one that I actually got at the Bristol plant swap. I know I didn't bring anything to the Bristol plant swap, but that doesn't stop people from giving things away for free. And this one was something that was free, and I wanted it. I saw it and I wanted it. Look at this. So this is an Alocasia Gageana, variegated. So I used to have an Alocasia Gageana years and years ago. Oh, I think it wasn't growing amazingly for me. It had really reduced its leaf size and wasn't doing fantastically, so I gave it away to a friend, and now I really want one again. I think I could do much better with it, but alas, we'll see. I might get a new one at some point, but I have seen the Gageana variegated ones throughout, like online, Instagram, etc., and I think that they are so incredibly beautiful. I love a variegated Alocasia. Like, y'all know I love Alocasias, but when they like throw in variegation in there, I am here for it. And I know that this is a full ghost leaf. I know that one's a full ghost leaf. The newest leaf on it is not a full ghost leaf. There's actually some green in there. And the stem also has a good chunk of green on the new one. So the one right here, it has a good chunk of green in it as well. So I am really hoping that I am able to get it to essentially revert. Whoever thought I'd be trying to get my plants to revert, not entirely, but revert somewhat from how incredibly white it is. Because it looks cool, but unfortunately, plants with this much variegation or ghost variegation, they can't live very well, if at all, because there's no chlorophyll within the leaves of the plant, and the chlorophyll is what helps turn light into energy through photosynthesis. And so if the plant doesn't have any of that chlorophyll, which this one doesn't in all but this tiny little section of the plant, then it's not going to be able to produce energy to live. But if there is some green, it is possible to get it to work. So I think it is possible. We're going to try and make it work. If I can get this to grow, that would be fantastic. I should also mention that it is rooted. Not terribly well, but it does have some roots on there, which means it is happy enough. I've just got it in some water for now. That's what it was in before I got it. So that's what I'm keeping it in for a little while it acclimates to my home. I have it in the cabinet because it's got a lot of light, it's got humidity, and in theory it's the best environment for most of my Alocasias. I like to try and put my Alocasias into the cabinet if I possibly can. So this is the best place for it, and because it's right at the front of the cabinet, I can regularly see the water level and make sure it's not getting too low, because if it gets too low, I would risk killing the plant before I even know whether or not I'm able to like save it. So very excited about this one. It's like kind of a wish list plant. Variegated Alocasias in general, I do have a couple of those on my wish list, so I'm hoping that I can get this one to live and grow and like properly add it into my collection, because like while I do have it, I'm not quite counting it yet as like a proper addition until it starts to grow for me and hopefully produces a little bit more green. Another exciting new addition to my collection, it's exciting for me, but I kind of came about it in a bit of a sad way. It is this gigantic begonia cutting. I think it's just a Begonia maculata. I'm not too sure on the exact type of begonia. If you do know, let me know. It's got huge leaves. So the story behind this one, like I said, is a little bit sad. My neighbor used to have loads and loads of plants in the hallway of our building, like our communal hallway, because there was a skylight there and there was loads of room outside their door that's kind of dead space. And so they had houseplants there for years. Like the entire time that I've lived here, and even before that, they've had these houseplants living there, one of which was a gigantic begonia. And I loved it. I loved that I could already get the like jungle vibes before I even got into my flat. Even though they weren't my plants, I thought I loved it so much, and it made me very happy. But the building decided that it is against fire regulations, which I do understand. I understand technically it is against fire regulations, but the fact that they've been there for years and nobody's cared, to them immediately caring now, I find it to be a little bit sad. And I would be really upset if I had to move my plants and she couldn't bring them into her home. She didn't have enough space, so she did have to give them to some friends, which is better than giving them away entirely because she can go visit them, but it is really sad. But very nicely, before she did give them away, she gave me a gigantic cutting. A huge begonia cutting, and it's even got like a new leaf coming in at the minute. Like, look at that. Oh, it's got a bit of caterpillar hanging off there. But look at that. And I have just plonked it in some water. because I am planning eventually to put it into semi-hydro. That is the best I have found for begonias. In my home, it's the easiest way I've found to grow them. It's currently sitting in my kitchen window, but the lighting in there is a bit crap, so I didn't want to bring you in there. It's so beautiful, it deserved really good lighting. So it's currently sitting in the kitchen window, getting not loads and loads of light, but like it's up against a windowsill. So it's getting some good amount. It hasn't rooted yet, as far as I know. I haven't noticed any roots, but I'm sure that it will in time, and I will hopefully be able to grow a big, beautiful begonia plant. Y'all know I'm getting into begonias in a minute. Y'all know I'm here for these cane begonias. And I have a new big one, which is very exciting. The next one of my favorites is undoubtedly the rearranging of the office. I am so glad that we decided to change things about, and I think the plants in here are really going to love it. Given I haven't had enough time to see whether or not the like more access to light has been beneficial to them or not, but I really love like the new space that has been created. I especially love this bottom shelf because I can put taller things on it now, like these moss poles. They fit, and I don't need to worry about, oh, this one is incredibly dry, I should probably go on to that, but I don't need to worry about them like hitting the light. Like the plants aren't anywhere close to the grow light in terms of like burning on them anymore, whereas when I had bigger plants on the shorter shelf that was there, I feel like they got quite close to the grow lights, and I have had some burn in my plants from that. So I'm really pleased with this. I think the plants are going to like this new situation. I mean, I like that they're all on this side. I feel like we have a whole much more space in the office, which I know we don't technically because all of the same furniture is in here, but it just feels like there's more room in here now, which I really love. So very glad I did this. Highly recommend giving your home a rearrange because it's a bit of fun. Also in this area, I want to share this little guy because it is so exciting. I know I talked about it in, oh, it's a bit drippy. I know I talked about it in my updates, but I am just so incredibly pleased how well this plant is doing. This is my Peperomia Pink Lady, and it is just such a cool one. The leaves are like shiny, even like almost sparkly, and it is growing so well. Oh my goodness, I'm really just dripping water everywhere. But I just think they're so cool. The little speckles on them. Y'all know I'm not like incredibly into pink plants. That isn't something that's my normal go-to, but I think this like lighter pink is where it's at. This is what I love, and I could stare at this one all day. I really hope it continues to grow well. I think it will. I have all the optimism for it, and I think it will work out just fine. But I'm glad that I'm finally able to get this one to a point where it's properly growing, because it's been, ooh, I think nearly a year, maybe like 10 months since I started propagating this one. So it has been quite a long time, and I'm just glad that I've gotten it to work. I'm still in the process of going through the, oh goodness, what's it called? The acclimation process to it being like less humid, because before I had the plastic wrap over the top of the cup fully, and since then I have taken that off, and so you can see it is still quite moist in there, but it is not as moist as when it was fully sealed, and it can now breathe a little bit more. Soon enough I will be able to take this out of the plastic cup and bring it into my home and treat it like a regular plant, which will be extremely exciting. So I am very much looking forward to seeing how that grows coming up. We've got a couple of exciting things going on in my bedroom as well, one of which is my Monstera Standelyana. So for the longest time, I think this one was suffering with those really big, bad, terrible thrips. Because I've had thrips loads of times, but never had I had the like really thick, big black ones. I've had like the smaller brown ones before, and I've been able to get rid of those fine. but these black ones were so hardy and hard to get that this plant was just suffering a little bit. Almost all of its new growth for a while was just a bit messed up. A lot of it came in with damage already, which I hated. I don't want my plants to be coming in with damage. It is no good. But I was able to treat this one, and I don't want to like promote chemical pest treatments because it's not my favorite thing to do. The only reason I used chemical pest treatments on this one was because I was really struggling. It's kind of my last stitch effort to getting a plant healthy, but I was able to use chemical pesticides on this. I know I feel bad, but I think I have gotten rid of the thrips now, and all of the new growth that has come in is extremely happy and not damaged at all and looking really good in comparison. So I feel like as much as it pained me to do that, I think I made the right call, and the outcome of it, like, I know the chemical pesticides work. I know they work, otherwise people would not use them. But I try to not use them where I possibly can. One of the only reasons why I allowed myself to use them in this is because I don't have any predatory mites in my collection at the minute, because I've been sulfur treating them, and it just didn't make sense to do both at the same time. So if I had predatory mites in my collection, I would not have used the chemical pesticides, because the chemical pesticides kill those as well, and yeah, not ideal. We don't want that. I think going forward I'm going to go back to the predatory mites on these, because beneficial insects are a great way to prevent and reduce infestation of pests in your collection. Once I wash all of the plants of the sulfur treatment, I am going to go back into doing natural chemical-free pest treatment, because I much prefer it in my home. It is healthier, it is more environmentally friendly, it's more like how things would be dealt with in nature, and I am somewhat trying to replicate nature in my home. So although I did do something that I wouldn't normally do on this one, I'm happy with the result, and I'm happy it's actually growing again, so not mad. In fact, very happy. Speaking of biological pest control, one thing that I did in March, which I am so glad I did, was use nematodes. Nematodes are definitely one of my March favorites. If you haven't gone and watched my nematodes or nematodes video, I highly recommend you go and watch it. I will link it in the clickable eye and down below, where I share so much information about nematodes and how they work in getting rid of fungus gnats. Because I had started to notice, I think with the increase in temperature, that my fungus gnat issue was getting a little bit out of hand. Not enjoyable. They were getting really annoying to me, and I was noticing a lot more of them throughout the house. And ever since I did the nematode treatment on all of my plants, I've noticed a huge reduction in the number of fungus gnats flying around my home. I'm barely seeing any. Like, obviously they're not fully gone yet. I think I'm still in the process of it. I might need to repeat the nematode solution thing. I don't think so, because I think between the yellow sticky traps and the nematodes, we've got a good solution. But yeah, I just really love the nematodes and how well they work, and I love that it's chemical free and that fungus gnats can't grow resistant to them, and like it's kind of just like a one and done thing for like half the year, and I'm here for it. So very glad I did that, and so glad I've actually seen a decent reduction in the fungus gnats since I've done so. I'll also make sure to link them down below in the description if you want to try nematodes out for yourself. Highly recommend. They are awesome. And then last, but certainly not least ever, because this is one of my favorite plants, is my Philodendron Glorious. So I did move it into this location in March, and I think it is absolutely loving it here. It has started to slowly turn towards the window, towards the light, and the new leaf that it was growing is starting to actually pop out, which is very exciting. I'm not going to touch it anymore because I'm not supposed to. We want to keep it as pristine as possible, seeing as I massively ripped the one there when I was moving things about. But I am so glad that it is liking this situation a lot better. it is rooting into the moss pole really well. And not only is it growing that leaf up there, it's also growing a new leaf down in there from one of the bottom cuttings, and it is just growing fabulously. So I'm really glad that I was able to find a good space for this one, though I probably will need to potentially find another new space kind of soon, because you can see where that leaf is compared to the ceiling. It's not that far, so maybe after that one I'll get one more in before it's the ceiling and I have to lower it again. It might have to become a floor plant after that, or I'm going to have to chop and prop and bring another cutting down to the bottom, which could totally work. I've done that several times on this one, and it seems to not mind it too much and continue pushing out really good growth. So I just love this plant so much. It does so well, and it's so pretty, and it's probably one of my proudest accomplishments as a plant parent. Like, not that I did loads to it, I feel like I just gave it a good environment and it took that and just ran with it. So, just really proud of it. It's so nice. So that is it. Those are all of the things that I am loving from the month of March. Plants that are doing really well, things that I've changed in my home that have done amazingly, just feeling good about a lot of things, and generally positive about my collection. I know I've talked about this quite a few times, but I do think it is because I've reduced some plants and I've not needed to care for as many, so I can really look after the ones that I am loving more than anything else. So very glad I did that. Before I sign off, I want to say a huge thank you to Alan and Catherine for joining in my Good Growing fam over on Patreon. If anyone else is interested in joining my Patreon, it is £3 or $4.50 a month, about €4, and you get everything for that one low price. You can think of it as buying me a coffee each month or running one of my grow lights each month, because that's about how much it costs, and it really helps me make my content here for all of you. And it's also really fun because you get bonus content, live chats, polls, all kinds of fun things. So it is there if you want it. I will link it down below in the description, but absolutely no pressure. If it is not your thing, that is absolutely fine. So thanks Alan and Catherine for joining in. I really appreciate it. And thanks to the rest of you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. What are you really loving in your plant collection at the minute? I would love to hear it and share the joy with all of you, and subscribe for more. Thanks again so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!